Simple Solutions, Lesson 14. In question number 1, it says solve for x. 3x equals 24. To solve for x, you want to get x by itself. X is being multiplied by 3, so I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides. 3 divides into 3 one time, leaving me with x. 3 divides into 24 8 times. Therefore, x equals 8. Number 2. In question number 2, they would like for you to find the square root of negative 64. Well, the square root of negative 64 is not a real number. Because it is a negative, there is no integer that multiplies times itself to give you negative 64. Negative 8 times negative 8 is positive 64. Therefore, the square root of negative 64 is not a real number. Number 3. In question number 3, it would like for you to find the perimeter of the shape. Well, in order to find the perimeter, you would have to find the length from here to here, which is 20 millimeters, plus the length from here to here, which is another 20 millimeters. So that gives me 20 millimeters plus 20 millimeters. That gives me a total of 40 millimeters for just the straight edges along the sides. Now, if we look at our circular portion, here on the left side and here on the right side, if we place those two together, we would have a full circle. So perimeter of a circle is equivalent to its circumference. So circumference equals pi times the diameter. Well, pi is equivalent to 3.14, and my diameter is given to me here at 15 millimeters. So I take my calculator and I multiply 3.14 times 15, and that's going to give me a final answer of a circumference for my circle of 47 1/10. Well, if I take my 47 1/10 for my circular portion plus my straight edges, which came up to be 40, and I add them together, that gives me a final perimeter of the full figure of 87 1/10 millimeters. Moving on to question number 4. In question number 4, it says use long division to write 13/24 as a decimal. Show your work in the answer box. So here I'm going to move over to question number 4. And you can see I've set up the division problem. 24 is outside the house, 13 is inside the house. 24 cannot divide into 13, so I added my decimal and my 0. And I am going to bring that decimal straight up. 24 divides into 130 5 times. 5 times 24 is 120. Subtracting my values here, I get 10. Adding my 0 and bringing it down, I get 100. 24 divides into 100 4 times. 4 times 24 is 96. Subtracting, I get 4. Adding an additional 0 and bringing it down. 24 divides into 40 1 time. 1 times 24 is 24. Subtracting once again, I get 16. Adding an additional 0 and bringing it down. 24 divides into 160 6 times. 6 times 24 is 144. And when I subtract, I am going to get a repeating decimal. So my final answer is going to be 5416, and the 16 portion is repeating. Moving on to question number 5. In question number 5, it says simplify 3 3/8 divided by 1 1/4. Well, you can see that I've set up that division problem. Now I'm going to change both of my mixed fractions into improper fractions. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 3 is 27. So that gives me 27/8 divided by 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5/4. Now going back to my division rules, I keep, change, flip. So that's 27/8 times 4/5. I can cross cancel here. 4 goes into 4 one time. 4 goes into 8 two times. 27 times 1 is 27. 2 times 5 is 10. I can leave that as an improper fraction, or if you like, you can change it back to a mixed fraction, which would be 2 7/10. To get 2 7/10, I simply divided 10 into 27. Moving on to question number 6. Was the second shape rotated or reflected? Using a protractor, find the measurement of angle A and record it in the answer box. Which angle of the second shape is congruent to angle A? Measure to confirm. So here, I'm looking at my figures. The first thing my question asks me is it rotated or reflected? Well, looking at my A and my Z, they're on opposite sides, so I would say that this shape has been reflected. The next thing, it asks me to measure angle A, and the measurement of angle A equals 60 degrees. The last question says, which two angles are congruent? Angle A and which angle? So angle A is congruent to angle Z. Number 7. The teacher has baskets of flashcards. There are 3 with the sum of 6, 5 with the sum of 7, and 2 with the sum of 10. If each first grader chooses a card at random, what is the probability that the first child will choose a card with a sum of 6? Well, the first thing you want to do is find out how many total cards there are. So if there are 3, 5, and 2, that means that there are a total of 10 cards. And we want to know what is the probability that the child will choose a sum of 6. Well, 3 of them have a sum of 6. So the probability of the first child choosing a sum of 6 would be 3 out of 10. Moving on to number 8. In question number 8, Candace purchased 4 books from an online store. Each book was $5.49. She paid a one-time charge of $4.50 for shipping. How much did Candace spend on the books? So we have $5.49, and she purchased 4 of them. That gives me a total of $21.96. Plus she paid $4.50 for shipping, so I have to add that cost. And that gives me a final cost of $26.46. So her total purchase was $26.46. Moving on to number 9. In question number 9, it says circle the rational numbers. Well, a rational number is anything that is a perfect square, or it can be written as a fraction. So here we have a fraction, so that is definitely rational. And we have the number 0. Well, the number 0 can be written as a fraction as well, 0 over 0. Number 10. Find the value of the shape. So we're looking for the volume of the shape in question number 10. In order to find the volume of the shape, I'm going to first find the volume of my rectangle. To find the volume of my rectangle, volume equals length times width times height. Well, my length is 4, my width is 6, and my height is 10. 4 times 6 times 10 gives me a volume of 240 millimeters cubed. Now I need to find the volume of my triangle here. Well, the triangle, to find the volume, is going to be length of 3, a width of 4, and a height of 10. Because it is a triangle, I have to divide that by 2 because it's only half of a square. So I have 3 times 4 is 12 times 10 is 120. So that gives me 120 divided by 2, which gives me a volume of my triangle of 60. So I have 60 millimeters cubed, and in order to find the volume of my entire figure, I'm going to add those two volumes together. 240 plus 60 is 300 millimeters cubed. All volume is going to be cubed. Looking at question number 11. In question number 11, Ms. Reginald graded 72 of 123 English assignments. What percent of the papers did she grade? Round to the nearest tenth. So she graded 72 out of 123, and I just got my calculator. I divided 72, pushed the division sign, and entered 123 and pushed the equal sign. I received an answer of 58 and 0.5%. So that's what percent she graded to the nearest tenth. Number 12. Number 12 states, what is the probability of getting a 4 and another 4 on 2 consecutive rows of the die? So the probability of getting a 4 on the first row, there are 6 sides to a die, only one side has a 4 on it, so that's a 1/6 chance. On your second row, again, there are 6 sides and only one side has a 4. You always multiply your chances. So 1/6 times 1/6 is going to give me 1/36. So there is a probability of getting a 4 and another 4 on 2 consecutive rows of a die would be 1/36. Please make sure you review all questions, rewind if you need it, and we are going to move on to our next lesson.